Hey, Tyrant, metal theologian. Yeah, so it's been a few weeks. Kind of been a lot going on over the last month or so, but you know, good things for the most part. So I've definitely been listening to a lot of records. I see, because there might be ebbs and flows in the channel output, but there aren't really a lot of ebbs and flows when it comes to how many records I listen to in a day. So, yeah, so right now we're listening to this record by a Swedish band called Proud, which I don't think is the greatest name ever, and it's not the strongest cover ever. But it's really a banger of a record, man. Yeah, 1984. And, you know, there's nothing really going on with these guys as far as gimmick or anything like that. It's really just the strength of the songs, man, and the musicianship on this thing, you know? The songs are good, the arrangements are good. It's a good record to listen to, man. And it rocks, even though this guy's wearing glasses. But it's not the heaviest thing ever. I mean, you can hear this right here, too, you know? It's like good songs, good hooks. They're arranged well, too, so it's a good record across the board, man. I actually found out about that one because King Fowley's record label, Old Metal, he did a whole bunch of CDs. And I mean, really, since that label's been around, I haven't collected CDs. It's been that long since I sold my CDs off. But I still went, like, checked out what he was doing because I was curious. If there was something I didn't know, I was like, oh, I wonder what that one sounds like, you know? Because there are some clunkers in the Old Metal catalog. And I'm not a fan of every single thing that King's ever done, right? But for the most part, oh, King likes that one? I should probably at least give it a listen, you know? So that's why I came across Proud, and god damn it, this isn't great. Yeah. Here's what happened to turn up, though, that I kind of had a hankering for it. I didn't really realize. This record right here, man. The shrink is still on this one. I haven't even torn it off yet. Yeah, it's funny, man, because this is really kind of the corniest Sisters of Mercy record in a way. You know, it's the one that's the most sort of goth in pose, if not in sound. Now, there's plenty going on with the fucking sound. So, like the choruses on this Corrosion and shit like that. You know, this is kind of the record with the hits, you know, Dominion, Lucretia. And I don't know, man, this is the first one I got into when I was in high school, you know. I don't spend a whole lot of time, like, reminiscing, you know. I'm not really into, like, the whole, like, sort of nostalgia of record collecting. It's more about, like, the fact that records are actually really good and I want to listen to them, you know. But yeah, I sort of drifted away from the Sisters for a while. Like, when I was in my 20s and my 30s, probably I was even more hostile. I kept my copy of First and Last and Always and one of the 12 inches, I think. I have a couple of singles again now that I had 12 inches of before, so I know it's all confused in my head. But yeah, so that one I kind of couldn't bring myself to let go of. And then, like, Vision Thing, I mean, obviously that's kind of a lame title. The George Bush Sr. reference sounds so dated now, you know. And, I remember the criticism of that record when it came out was, oh, they're trying to sound like the Cult now or something like that. And that's not true, you know? But I don't know, man. Out of their albums, I think that might be their best one now. You know, it's kind of more rock. It still does the whole goth thing, but it kind of puts a little bit on the side and lets the songs shine through a little bit better. And this one's kind of the opposite of that. But this is still the one where it's like, I don't know, there's this sort of platonic ideal of this band. It's like, hangs out in my mind, you know, even though it's actually like the Body Electric 45, the original one. That's just fucking fantastic. But this one kind of hangs in there and like demands I not forget about it. So I actually grabbed a copy of this again just a few days ago and listened to it and enjoyed it a lot, man. So welcome back to the collection, Floodland. Okay, this one might be even more surprising. Got this one the same day, man. Look at that, a Peter Gabriel record on the Metal Theologian channel, right? I actually really like Peter Gabriel, man. I mean, another one I got into in high school, you know, via Genesis. You know, I was into prog rock, and a friend of mine got me to, like, put Invisible Touch out of my mind for long enough to hear, like, I don't know, Lamb Lies Down on Broadway or something like that that would have really impressed me when I was in high school. I think some of that stuff's aged better than others. I think Lamb Lies Down on Broadway is really just... I mean, everything about it is good, except that it's boring. You know, I mean, I guess the story's kind of ridiculous too. But the whole, you know, I'm on board with the concept album thing. You know, I'll if you serve that shit up, I'll eat it, no problem. You know, but when it's boring, it's kind of hard to overcome, man. Now, when I think of the songs that I even remember off that fucking record, which, given how many times I've listened to it, is a very small number. The songs just fucking bore me, man. Like, there might be one or two good hooks. Maybe like 3 good hooks in the whole, like, 2-record set, you know? I don't know, I'm probably exaggerating a little bit because it's been a while now, but I really think the Landlines Down Broadway's crap. I think Nursery Crime is really good. I think Selling England by the Pound is really good. I think Foxtrot is really good, but Supper is Ready doesn't impress me like it did when I was in high school, you know what I mean? I can still hang with it the same way I can hang with Satan's Fall, you know? It's just like a big, long, epic track to fill up your side, too. You know, sure, but, you know, anyway, it was sort of through that I came to Peter Gabriel's solo stuff, and, you know, I never really get the urge to listen to Sledgehammer and shit like that, but, I don't know, man. I actually had a copy of the second record for my kid not too long ago because I thought he'd really dig it, so I was like, oh, I should listen to this again, too. And that was one I still had, actually. Like, kind of a beat copy, but I didn't have this one anymore, and I felt like hearing this last week. So I did something about it. And yeah, this is probably... I don't know how many hits were on Us. This record might have been bigger than Us. But if so was his biggest record, at least when that came out, this would have been number 2 with, with Shock the Monkey and shit like that, getting lots of, MTV play. I remember the video, you know. Like Rhythm of the Heat, San Jacinto, Lay Your Hands on Me. You know, there's some songs in here that are pretty well known, so... Not exactly an obscure record, but, yeah, I like it anyway. I do think it's kind of a funny story about how he didn't want to title it, but the label did. So the solution was to call the record Security, but only have the title on the sticker on the shrink wrap, so when you tore it off, it would be untitled, just like the previous 3. It's kind of funny that they nodded to that in this particular reissue. It doesn't actually say Security on here anywhere, you know? So they gave in. Alright, what else do we have here, man? Really some metal. This one came out too, man. My fucking Steel Legacy version of this Tyrant comp. And some of this material's been repackaged, I want to say on a High Roller, but it might have been No Remorse a few years after, so this one's gotten kind of hard to find, but the others haven't. The original single is a lot more expensive than any version of the LP you come across. But, like, I swear, this is like one of those great bands. Like, Tyrant would be my favorite new wave British heavy metal band if they sounded like a new wave British heavy metal band. It's kind of funny because they really sounded way too epic and grandiose, you know, even more than like Dragon Slayer and other ones that had the name maybe even a little bit more than these guys. But this shit was as epic metal as that era ever got, you know? And yeah, the singles on both sides of the single on Your Eyes of a Stranger and Hold Back the Lightning, and then some demo tracks which are overall really good, man. There's one song on side 2, I can't remember which one it was right now, that kind of sounds like a little bit of a rehash of Hold Back the Lightning, but that song is so good, man. I can handle a rehash of it, you know? And it's only kind of sounds like a rehash. Like, it's probably just as well this band didn't go on and make 8 more records. Because it would have been a bummer if they had done this, and it was so great, and they made 7 records that were clunkers, or 2 mediocre ones, and then you'd be turning on YouTube looking for people to talk about shit. You'd be finding, like, guy after guy, like, trying to rationalize why the 6th Tyrant record, which everyone knows is a piece of crap, they're trying to rationalize why it's actually not as bad as you think, you know what I mean? And I mean, I watch those videos too. Hell, I indulge in it on this channel too, so, you know, less I come off as, like, having no self-awareness here at all. But anyway, that isn't the case with Tyrant, because they just made 145 while they were together. And as far as I know, this is everything that exists. Oh, there might be liner notes in here that I didn't bother reading. Anyway, love this shit, man. UK Tyrant, obviously there are like half a dozen bands, probably just from the UK with the name of Tyrant. So, you know, make sure you're getting the right one. But I don't know, the German Tyrant isn't terrible. I'm trying to think, there's at least one other Tyrant that I have records by over there. It's escaping me. Ah, fuck it. It's not important. Yes, I went on a little mini reggae kick, like in the middle of all this shit. And I pulled this out because I just love culture. I don't think I played this one when when I was on the last big kick, you know. I was going nuts. I think Bald Head Bridge might be my favorite culture record, but I think this is probably the best culture record. This one is just so good, man. Every song on here is great. Seriously, this is a fucking 10 out of 10 record. 2/7's Clash by Culture. There's this lore about how supposedly it was the 2/7's Clash had to do with like 1977. And so like in Jamaica, like this record got big and like people freaked out thinking that like there's gonna be some big like apocalyptic shit going down in 1977 because of it. I'm inclined to think those stories are pretty greatly exaggerated because it's just a good record, man. And there's plenty of reason to enjoy it without like concocting conspiracy theories, you know. Not that conspiracy theories aren't fun. But yeah, I mean, the liner notes are like this. Culture, a name that stirs the imagination. Culture, a name that defies the insidious pranks of the creator of the rat race and cold, ruthless jabs of powers that be, and has emerged, undoubtedly, victorious. Culture, now a household name to many a West Indian cultural reggae music lover. That's a lot of words to say reggae fan, isn't it? Anyway, if you hate reggae, you're not going to like this. But if you're new to reggae and you want to get to know the Pantheon, you need to hear this fucking record. 100%. There are a couple others too, like some of these Creation Rebel records. I actually played all my fucking Creation Rebel records recently. You know what I'm finding is I was sort of on the hunt for this one for a long time. I mean, I was kind of after all these early Creation Rebel records, but the only one I had for a long time was what's it called, Planet Africa, I think, something like that. Fuck, I'm spacing. It's the one that came out on You as well as on I guess Hit Run Records. Yeah, anyway. These Creation Rebel records are really good, but I sort of feel like because of the association with the whole like On You sound and all that stuff, that I might have been expecting a little bit more than these guys are ready to deliver, because this is a really good dub record. But it's not, it doesn't have that sort of weird kind of charm that like an African Head Charge record has, you know what I mean? Or some of the, especially like Stoned Immaculate era dub syndicate, some of that stuff just has like, it's definitely dub, you know what I mean? But sort of like the way Lee Perry's shit is dub. It has a little extra something with his personality coming into it. And so does African Head Charge in a completely different way. And I was kind of expecting to find that from Creation Rebel a little bit too, and I really kind of feel like I haven't, you know what I mean? Now, this record, if you like King Tubby, there's nothing not to like about this shit, you know what I mean? It's really good dub shit. But it feels a little bit baseline in a way to me, you know what I mean? So I still recommend these records. I have a couple of them here, and they were hard to get for a long time. Actually, this one came out a couple of years ago, dubbed from Creation. The other one that just turned up relatively recently, like within the last year or so, was this one, Close Encounters of the Third World. I think this is actually the first one. And then Rebel Vibrations was the second, but I don't know exactly. You can look them up. It's cool that those are in print right now after being so hard to get for so many years. I don't know how many times I looked at like a $150 copy of Rebel Vibrations, looking at it on Discogs, sort of thought about it, you know, go do something else, come back, think about it some more, you know. Yeah, if only someone would reissue The Many Moods of the Upsetters, I'd be really happy. So there's a little bit of a trip back to my Candlemass roots. Because this is the record that got me into Candlemass. I kind of came late to it, but if y'all remember a channel, it's called either Doom Paul or Lord Doom Paul. I don't remember which it was, but he hasn't been active on here in a few years. But he and I were friends IRL in San Francisco. And one day he like had like a fucking iPod, and he like came up to me. And I was like, "Hey man, listen to this." And it was the main riff from Black Dwarf. And I was like, "Holy fuck, that is good. Who is that?" He was like, "That's the new Candlemass." I was like, really? I never really gave a shit about them before. Well, I've come around because I give a shit about them now. And I went out and bought this pretty much right away. I'm glad I did because it hasn't gotten any cheaper. But yeah, Black Dwarf is great. Copernicus is great. Seven Silver Keys, a banger. Born in a Tank. It's a great title, right? Yeah, man, I could name every song on this thing. It's just awesome all the way through, man. It's probably Candlemass at their least doomy. You know, this might actually be sort of a good entry point if you're looking to check it out and you're not sure if you're down with that. You know what I mean? This record will get you used to Messiah's voice and sort of the color of it and the sort of the dirgy feel, even when it's not playing so slow. So if you listen to a slower record like, you know, Ancient Dreams, which still isn't really slow for a Doom record, but it's slower than this, you know? I don't know, this one might ease you into it. But if you don't need easing in, then, man, the world's your oyster when it comes to Candlemass. Yeah, what else do we have? Oh, a couple of, obvious ones. These come out. A few weeks ago, I was walking around for a few days, had the song Easy Livin' stuck in my head, so this record came out. And this record's really good, man. It's funny, this is probably the best known Uriah Heep record because of Easy Livin'. $1972, man. That's funny, this is a island press, so it doesn't have all the extra like pages in it and shit. That came in the US one. It's a German press, it looks like. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not coming up with the song titles very well today. Yeah, so Wizard is a great opener, man. Just fucking starts this record off right. And Easy Living is a banger. Rainbow Demon is a banger. And this record doesn't really lose its momentum the way like the second Uriah Heep does. That's kind of an easy one to point to for that because I don't know, man. Just the way it came out, like they had too many. At least the American ones, they ended up putting all the slow songs on Salisbury. So you're like, well, what the hell? This is kind of the lame record now, but it really isn't lame. It's just not as intense as the first and the third records. I don't know, man. That's a great one though, and it's an easy one to forget. Same with The Magician's Birthday. I should pull that one out too. Here's another one I don't forget because it comes out really regularly. Fucking Blue Oyster Cult. I mean, I can't go a couple of months without listening to Something by Blue Oyster Cult. So there it is. Alright, let's uh-oh. I gotta find the fucking inner now. This is part of the show right here. Here it is. So it was right in the front, but I started looking for it like behind other shit. That's usually where it gets lost. So if you're playing the drinking game, I hope you took a shot. Alright, man. So here's one that kind of came my way. So another one I'd sort of heard about forever, I hadn't really seen. It's the Jester record. You know, I don't know if this is supposed to be like a 7 or if that's just like a thing they put on there. I suspect it's just a thing they put on there. I'm like checking the spine now to see if they call it 7. As far as I know, this is their only record. They definitely didn't make 6 other records. So, and yeah, this one, it's funny, this is one of those ones that sort of looks kind of private-ish. It came out on Erica Records. And I don't know if Erica was really, there was a pressing plant called Erica, and I don't know if, you know, this was really a label so much as the pressing plant would like make deals with people to press up some of their records and then be done with it or how it shakes out. But there are a few things that you see on collectors lists that are, you know, listed as Erica with a K like that. And they're not necessarily easy ones to find, but they're not necessarily the hardest things ever to find either. Like, There's a band called Mistreater that had one. Not the Hell's Fire Mistreater from Cleveland, but there's a different Mistreater. They had a pretty good record, you know, which for a long time you could find around for like $20. I don't think you can anymore now, but... Yeah, anyway, this is a really good record. It's not the second coming of Iron Maiden. But it's got some energy, it's got some hype, they're going for it. Yeah, one thing I've noticed recently, it seems like there are fewer, maybe this is just me, but it seems like there are fewer 5-piece bands around than there used to be. I've noticed this when when I've gone to shows lately, it seems like a lot of the bands that are out there are 3-piece bands. And I wonder if that has something to do with the economics of it, you know? Not that it hasn't always been better to divide, you know, pay for a show 3 ways rather than 5 ways, right? But I wonder if things on that front have gotten tough to the point where, like, five-piece bands just don't pay off like they used to, and so 3-piece bands are the way to go if you actually want to survive and, like, continue to live as a band, you know? Anyway, Jester's cool. I don't have any really strongly formed opinions on this one yet, but I figured throw it on for a minute and decide how it is together. I like it. This is a better record than that one, though. This is the fucking Hobbs Angel of Death record. And I almost wish they hadn't gone as cornball as they kind of did, because, like, that cover's a little bit silly anyway, right? I mean, it's awesome. You know, and he's got his cross and shit, right? But, like, on the back, the picture's in the Australia, and then, like, on the inner, fucking posing with the kangaroos and shit. I mean, that's kind of awesome, alright? I'm not going to sit here and deny the obvious. On the other hand, as a non-Australian, I don't really feel like I need to be pandered to in that way. You know what I'm saying? Like, the Zen Venom record is great, even though there are already pictures of fucking, you know, kangaroos and shit on the record cover, so... Yeah, I don't know, but this is a really great record, man. I mean, this thing really... I feel like it's a little misleading to say it sounds like Slayer, because it doesn't sound like Slayer. But I think some of the vibes, like the sort of the chaotic evil sound that you get from Slayer, if you know your D&D alignments and shit, you kind of get that on this record a little bit too, in a way that you don't necessarily expect. And I love that about it. I mean, it's the bottom line, you know, this is a fantastic record. It isn't one of the ones that sort of grabbed me instantly on first listen. It was when I listened to it, like, you know, once and, oh yeah, that's fucking solid. Then that's way better than I expected, really, because of the cover, right? And then, you know, listen to a few more times to establish its staying power. And yeah, I mean, there's a reason people talk about that record a lot, so. Yeah, here's another one I'm kind of still working on. I actually snagged this one. It's funny, everything has a cut corner today. But I snagged this one because there were a couple people in my comments section who were saying I needed to check out the Gargoyle LP. So I was like, okay, I'll let down my guard because it's a New Renaissance. A New Renaissance, not necessarily the seal of quality on a record, you know? And one thing that always bothered me about New Renaissance is they always use the same kind of typeface for their fucking song titles and that. And it had the effect of making the art look kind of churned out and samey. Like, especially in their compilations, man. It has this font, like, all over the whole back of the thing with all the titles. And you're just like, dude, come on, try a little bit, you know? Anyway, this record's good. I'm enjoying this record. I don't really feel like I've completely, like, absorbed it yet, though, you know? I've probably listened to it, like, 4 or 5 times since I got it, maybe, and, it's a good record. It's an easy record to enjoy. But I don't feel like this is, like, you know, an all-time, you know, sort of metaphysically great fucking heavy metal record, you know? Maybe I'll come back and have gotten it at some point, but I really like the EP. And I was like, well, if it's as good as the EP, it's going to be really good, right? And it's as good as the EP, you know? So shout out to them for that. You know, a lot of bands will make a great EP and then they'll make an LP and it sucks. Gargoyle didn't do that. But I feel like even though I listened to it a few times, I haven't really found their identity yet. You know what I mean? Yeah, some of the shit here just feels kind of obvious, man. Oh yeah, I pulled this out again and listened to it the other day. How many times have I hyped this record? I'm telling you, I don't have anything to say about records after this one by Europe, but this first Europe record is so good. Okay, this Parasite one. You can probably tell that Metallurgy was talking about Swedish shit recently because I saw a bunch of Swedish shit I'm showing, right? There's another record, 5 tracks. Awesome. Not that hard to find, really. It's on the Sword label. Apparently there's an original pressing of it that's like really rare. These Sword ones, you know, they're not common, but they turn up, you know. There's a Torch record on Sword too. Yeah, I don't know how many records there were on that label. It wasn't a ton, but it was mostly cool Swedish shit, so. But yeah, well, that's what we probably all know, right? And this one right here. Fucking Swords and Axes. And this actually is also my only Bonsai record in my whole collection. I don't have any other records on the Bonsai label, so. Oh well. I have most of the records, I just don't have the Bonsai pressings, you know? Anyway, this cover's a little bit silly, right? Like the airbrush art is a little bit whatever, but like, and like this thing with like slicing the world, so you go, oh, that's a little bit cringe, right? But you got to do with this one is just sort of focus on the sort of the nut of it, like the essence of it, and not the not sort of the execution necessarily, because this is a fucking fantastic record, man. Yeah, Dream Away is a fucking banger of a start. Swords and Axes is great. Burn in Hell, Fighting Man. So many great songs on this thing, man. I haven't said Swedish Magic at this video, but they've been showing a lot of the records off that have that stuff going on. And, yeah, I guess we'll save this one for last, man. I think I might have talked about this one already, but I finally broke down and snagged a copy of this a few months ago, actually. I was in the middle of a big, like, I think it was even before my rap kick. It was some other kick I was on. I was like, oh, okay, I'll grab that and check it out. And I sort of had it just sitting here for a while and played it a couple times. And this record's really a lot better than I give any credit for being in the past, you know? I've always kind of been like, yeah, I like the first EP, I like Warning, but after that, I mean, I'm not going to buy a fucking record with this guy on it, right? I mean, that was half the issue I had, right? But what can I say? I was led astray by this band's ultra corny look on this record. So if you can bring yourself to just look at the front and not the back, this is a really solid metal record, man. It isn't making the sorts of apologies like the nods to goth and shit like that their clothes would imply. You know what I mean? This is what it is, and it's confident in it. The execution is awesome. You know, so this is really a solid record. If you're gonna go, if I'm gonna say, if you're gonna start collecting metal, and I'm gonna say, okay, here are 20 records for you, go pick up. So like, just get yourself started. Is this gonna make the list? Absolutely not. You know. But at least I get why people make such a big deal out of this one. Yeah, and don't expect to see Operation Mindcrime anytime on here soon, because remember what I said about concept records before and how I can hang with them? I was lying. I fucking hate concept albums. Actually, it depends. I actually do kind of get a kick out of concept records. I find them the most entertaining when the concept doesn't quite work, honestly, which is maybe a little bit shitty of me, but I sleep okay at night. But yeah, Operation Mindcrime, I'm not really buying what they're selling at that point in time, man. I don't know, we'll see. Maybe I'll change their mind. Jester's good, though, isn't it? Check this shit out. Here's the inner sleeve for the Jester record. I didn't even fucking lose it. Alright, well, there it is. That's a little overview of what's been going on around here. I didn't have a topic at all. I didn't know what the hell I was going to talk about, but the records did it for me. So, thanks as always for watching. Alright, and I'll see you next time.